Jules.
Give me your check number afterwards.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Way of Life Big Book Study.
Well,
I am Dave, and I'm a recovered but not cured alcoholic, drug addict, and whatever else you had.
my name is Blythe, and I'm a gratefully recovered alcoholic.
All right, we're going to stand, if you please, for a moment of silence, followed by the old serenity prayer.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thanks, everyone.
I thought you were going to have something funny to say. No, not this time. Okay. I was so looking forward to it. All right, and I actually didn't ask anybody. So whoever has the preamble, could you please read it?
I'm Brittany, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Brittany.
AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Brittany. And whoever has a set-aside prayer, could they please read it?
Bill, alcoholic.
Hi, Bill.
Set aside prayer. God, please help me set aside everything I think I know about myself. The 12 steps, this book, the meetings, my disease, and you, God, so I may have an open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please let me see the truth.
Thanks, Bill. All right, so at this meeting, myself and Blythe are going to read and explain the first portion of the book, Alcoholics Anonymous. That's where we find the program. It's going to be time at the end for questions and discussion and what have you. There's paper and pens if you have questions or talking points for your share, write them down. And highlighters for your book if we say something that makes sense, which might happen. Maybe.
Good evening, friends. Once again, my name is Blythe, I'm an alcoholic. I love this little big book study. We're getting into the pages of the program of recovery, and I think that's exactly where we need to be. So just a quick recap. I know most of you guys have heard this before, so I'm going to try to get through it really quickly. I'm not going to throw out page numbers or anything. I'm just going to give a shit here for a minute. So the title page says the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. The story is in italices, so it's very important. My story, I couldn't stay sober. Their story, they learned how to get and stay sober. So if I do what they do, then I'm going to get what they get, which is recovered from alcoholism. In the preface, we started to make the separation between the program and the fellowship. It says, because this book has become the basic text for our society, right, our fellowship, the text for our society, has helped such large numbers of alcoholic men and women to recovery, there exists strong sentiment against any radical changes being made in it. Therefore, the first portion of this volume describing the AA recovery program has been left largely untouched in the course of revisions made for the second, third, and fourth edition. So where do you find the AA recovery program? In the first portion of this book. You'll notice it doesn't say in the first 164 pages. If you say the first 164 pages, you're leaving out the preface, the forward to the first edition, forward to the second edition, forward to the third edition, forward to the fourth edition, and the doctor's opinion. So there's lots of information in there. That's why we call it the first portion, not the first 164 pages. In the doctor's opinion, we learned that our first symptom of alcoholism, this allergy or abnormal reaction to alcohol, that when I consume any alcohol, I want more. And it turns out that the majority of the population on this earth doesn't. It's like having a cup of coffee. They can have one or two cups and put it down. I do not have that ability. It says here, we believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is the manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all, even the green smokable kind. And once having formed this habit, found they cannot break it, once having lost their confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. I know my problems piled up on me, and the only thing that solved it was cracking one and going, ah. So that's our.
Everyone else around you went, oh Jesus.
I got loosened. Everybody else went, oh shit.
Hide the whiskey.
Hide the whiskey. So that's our first symptom, right? This abnormal reaction or phenomenon of craving. When I learned of this, it helped me so much because I thought I was a bad person when I would go out and spend all the money and all the food and the fridge was gone and we'd have to move again, right? But I learned that I was a sick person, that I suffered from this phenomenon of craving, right? We get into up to page 22, and it asks the question, why does he behave like this? Right? Like, this is where it flips into this second symptom of alcoholism. If I never took the first drink, setting that terrible cycle in motion, I wouldn't have this problem. Does that make sense? Right? So, I mean, the solution is abstinence, right? Just don't drink. But applying that solution is a totally different ballgame. So now we're into this. We're waist deep into explaining the second symptom, which is really difficult to explain. This malady that centers in my mind, or the phenomena, or the subtle insanity, strange mental blank spots, insidious insanity, all these different terms it uses for the second symptom of why I keep picking up that first drink, and how I can make excuses for drinking all the time, but when I really look deep down inside, I don't know why I do it. Right? We're going to start off on page 37, and we're going to talk about the jaywalker, and this guy sums me up pretty good.
Didn't we already read the jaywalker?
Nope. We finished with Fred, or Jim.
Huh. Okay, cool.
Bottom paragraph, 37.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a funny first sentence. Our behavior is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink as that of an individual with a passion, say, for jaywalking.
So here's the thing, right? They talk about our behavior, and a lot of people treat this like it's a behavior problem, right? Why doesn't this guy just stop jaywalking? Carry on.
He gets a thrill out of skipping in front of fast-moving vehicles. He enjoys himself for a few years in spite of friendly warnings.
For the first few years, it was a lot of fun, man. I was partying, I was having a good time. No consequences.
Up to this point, you would label him as a foolish chap, having strange ideas of fun.
Sorry, I think I have a pen from someone.
Here. Luck then deserts him, and he is slightly injured several times in succession.
Right, I might have lost a couple jobs or things like this start to happen as a result of my drinking, right?
Get beat up at the bar because you can't fight. You would expect him, if he were normal, to cut it out. Presently, he's hit again, and this time has a fractured skull. Within a week after leaving the hospital, a fast-moving trolley car breaks his arm.
Right, within a week after leaving treatment, I got loaded.
I got this. Right? He tells you he's decided to stop jaywalking for good. Never doing this again. But in a few weeks, he breaks both legs. On through the years, this conduct continues, accompanied by his continual promises to be careful or to keep off the streets altogether.
I don't know about you guys, but I promised myself and others all the time that I was either going to keep off the streets altogether, as in quit, I'm not going to ever do that again, or to be careful. It's okay, honey, I'm only going to have a couple tonight.
I won't drink whiskey anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, he can no longer work, his wife gets a divorce, and he's held up to ridicule.
And he goes to AA.
He tries every known means to get the jaywalking idea out of his head. He shuts himself up in an asylum, hoping to mend his ways, but the day he comes out, he races in front of a fire engine, which breaks his back. Such a man would be crazy, wouldn't he? You may think our illustration is too ridiculous, but is it? We, who have been through the ringer, have to admit, if we substituted alcoholism for jaywalking, the illustration would fit us exactly. However intelligent we may have been in other respects, where alcohol has been involved, we've been strangely insane It's strong language, but isn't it true?
So a couple pieces about this jaywalker, right, is like it says, if I substitute the jaywalking for my drinking, it sums me up perfectly. Like, it's just that development of alcoholism and where it finally left off with me. But also, like, when we think about this jaywalker, right, we're like, man, this guy's an idiot. He's crazy. Why doesn't he stop jaywalking? That's exactly what our family and friends think about us, right? They're like, why doesn't he just stop doing this?
Keeps going to jail. Just don't drink, you dummy. I want to, but I can't. Some of you are thinking, yes, what you tell us is true, but it doesn't fully apply. We admit we have some of these symptoms, but we have not gone to the extremes you fellows did, nor are we likely to, for we understand ourselves so well after what you have told us that such things cannot happen again.
It's interesting. There's 4 case studies in this chapter, and for 2 of them, or probably 2 of them, the people knew knowledge of Alcoholics Anonymous. They came out of hospitals and stuff, and we saw them, and we talked to them, and we told them about alcoholism. Right? They had knowledge of step 1, and it says here, we understand ourselves so well after what you've told us that it can never happen again. And that's mine. My experience as well, working with people, they're like, oh, okay, I got it. I understand now.
Yeah,
and then go fare forth on high hopes, right? But, knowledge of step 1 is not sufficient to keep me sober.
Yeah, I remember back in Bill's story also, right? Surely self-knowledge is the key, right? Mm-hmm. Shortly after, found myself drunk.
Right, it says we've not gone to the fellows, there's extremes some of you fellows did, right? We like to think I'm not that bad. But it's not about eating out of dumpsters and car crashes. It's about 2 symptoms of alcoholism. The allergy of the body and this malady that centers in my mind. If I have those 2 symptoms, it doesn't matter what social stature I'm at. It doesn't matter if I have money. Right? It says here that
knowledge I have.
Yeah, I can be, however intelligent, maybe in other respects. Right? I can be a successful businessman like Bill W. and continue to get loaded.
We have not lost everything in life through drinking, and we certainly do not intend to. Thanks for the information. That may be true of certain alcoholic people who...
Non-alcoholic
people who, though drinking foolishly and heavily at the present time, are able to stop or moderate.
2 symptoms of alcoholism: the allergy, the ability to moderate, and this malady that centers in my mind, the ability to stop.
Yep.
Stop, period. Not stop for a month or stop for a couple of weeks. Stop.
Yeah, so it's maybe true for certain non-alcoholic people. So like the hard drinker that we learned about back in There's a Solution, right? He looks like us, drinks like us, but doesn't quit like us. Because their brains, malady, and their bodies, the allergy, have not been damaged as ours were. Was an actual or potential alcoholic with hardly an exception.
This is an important sentence. Start again.
But the actual or potential alcoholic, with hardly an exception, will be absolutely unable to stop drinking on the basis of self-knowledge.
Guys, this is 100 people's experience, 100 people who wrote this book, and it's based off of the fact of legions of alcoholics who went on before who drank themselves to death, right? We like to think, I can stop, or I can control it. I got this. I don't need help. I don't need to do these steps. I can just go to meetings.
Yeah, so that's the 2 obsessions that the book talks about too, that I can someday control and enjoy my drinking. First symptom says I can't do that, right?
I mean, there's all kinds of different kinds of cognitive behavioral therapies, all that stuff out there. All that is self-knowledge. And it won't work.
No, that's right.
Yeah. And the second obsession that I can someday quit on my own, right? And the second symptom says I'm not going to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Carry on.
So this is a point we wish to emphasize and re-emphasize.
So if you have the 2, re-emphasizing now, if you have these 2 symptoms, that you can't control how much you take and you can't stay sober on your own, you're one of us, and you will not be able to stop with anything except a psychic change produced by an spiritual experience as the result of this course of action.
And we need to smash home upon our alcoholic readers as it is being revealed to us out of bitter experience. Let us take another illustration.
So this is the final case study in this chapter about how this, or demonstrating this malady at work. It's so difficult to explain this malady at work that it's easier just to give case studies.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Fred is a partner in a well-known accounting firm. His income is good, he has a fine home, is happily married, and the father of promising children of college age. He has so attractive a personality that he makes friends with everyone.
Everyone likes Fred. He's a fantastic dude.
If ever there was a successful businessman, it is Fred. To all appearance, he is a stable, well-balanced individual, yet he is alcoholic. We first saw Fred about a year ago in a hospital where he had gone to recover from a bad case of the jitters. It was his first experience of this kind, and he was much ashamed of it. Far from admitting he was an alcoholic, he told himself he came to the hospital to rest his nerves. The doctor intimated strongly that he might be worse than he realized. For a few days, he was depressed about his condition, made up his mind to quit drinking altogether. It never occurred to him that perhaps he could not do so. In spite of his character and standing, Fred did not believe himself an alcoholic, much less accept a spiritual remedy for his problem. We told him what we knew about alcoholism. He was interested and conceded that he had some of the symptoms, probably the allergy. But he was a long way from admitting that he could do nothing about it himself. He was positive that this humiliating experience, plus the knowledge he had acquired, would keep him sober the rest of his life. Self-knowledge would fix it. We heard no more of Fred for a while. One day we were told that he was back in the hospital. This time he was quite shaky. He soon indicated he was anxious to see us. The story he told us is most instructive, for here was a chap absolutely convinced he had to stop drinking, who had no excuse for drinking, who exhibited splendid judgment and determination in all his other concerns, yet was flat on his back nevertheless. Let him tell you about it.
I was much impressed with what you fellows said about alcoholism. And I frankly did not believe it would be possible for me to drink again. I rather appreciated your ideas about the subtle insanity which precedes the first drink.
Malady, second symptom.
But I was confident that it could not happen to me after what I had learned. I reasoned I was not so far advanced as most of you fellows, that I had been usually successful in licking my other personal problems, and that I would therefore be successful where you men failed. Thanks for the information. I felt I had every right to be self-confident, that it would only be a matter of exercising my willpower and keeping on guard. In this frame of mind, I went about my business, and for a time all was well. I had no trouble refusing drinks and began to wonder if I had been making too hard of work of a simple matter. One day I went to Washington to present some accounting evidence to a government bureau. I had been out of town before during this particular dry spell.
Notice he says dry spell.
Not
in recovery, right? Using his willpower.
Mm-hmm. So there was nothing new about that. Physically, I felt fine. We talk about the self-knowledge thing, and you have to have this psychic change as a result of the steps. If you're not in that process, all you are is between drinks. Physically, I felt fine. Neither did I have any pressing problems or worries. My business came off well. I was pleased and knew my partners would be too. It was the end of a perfect day, not a cloud on the horizon.
So at this point, right here, does it sound like he's got any real reason to be drinking? I would say no, right? Like, perfect day, business went well, he felt good, not a cloud on the horizon, right? Everything's going great.
I went to my hotel.
That is a reason, though, or
Yeah.
it feels like it.
Sometimes.
I went to my hotel and leisurely dressed for dinner. As I crossed the threshold of the dining room, the thought came to mind that it would be nice to have a couple cocktails with dinner. That was all, nothing more.
Boom. Just like that thought came, right? So as he walked from the lobby into the dining room, he was like, I should have a drink. That was it. That was all.
No mental defense. I ordered a cocktail in my meal. Then I ordered another cocktail. After dinner, I decided to take a walk. When I returned to the hotel, it struck me a highball would be fine before going to bed. So I stepped into the bar and had one. I remember having several more that night and plenty the next morning. Now we have that allergy kicking in as soon as he has that one drink.
So we see no defense in here, right? He crosses a threshold and goes, I should just have a highball, right? Is there any like, oh no, I shouldn't do that because I'm an alcoholic?
Yeah, was he playing the tape back?
Yeah. Where is his self-knowledge there? He knows he can't friggin' drink. Is it coming to mind? Nope, because he doesn't have a mental defense.
I have a shadowy recollection of being in an airplane bound for New York and finding a friendly taxi cab driver at the landing field instead of my wife. The driver... Oh.
So I was just going to say, just for everyone's information, he does not live in New York.
The driver escorted me about for several days. I know little of where I went or what I said and did. Then came the hospital with the unbearable mental and physical suffering. As soon as I regained my ability to think, I went carefully over that evening in Washington. Not only had I been off guard, I had made no fight whatever against the first drink. That's what we're up against. That's what we're up against. This time, I had not thought of the consequences at all.
Right, so here he is, decided I've got to quit drinking forever, right after he met with us the second time. And we told him about alcoholism. He says, okay, no, I'm good. Just self-knowledge. I can never drink again. That's fine. And for months, he was able to do that, wasn't he? He'd even gone on business trips. He was refusing drinks. So his self-will worked for a while. But the day came and the thought came and he drank. He was not able to bring back into consciousness the suffering that drinking always causes us. Always causes us. For us to drink is another bender and a calamity every time. I think we could all agree on that, right?
Such a powerful example of this malady at work. Sober for a few months, right? Like thinking I got this back together, man. My life is going. Everything's going good.
Yeah.
Bam.
See, so I began to wonder if I had not been making too hard a work of such a simple matter. Just don't drink, right? And I like to think of what that cabbie had to put up with over those 2 days, right? Like, I'd like to take him home, but he making me so much money. Puked in my cab.
I commenced to drink as carelessly as though the cocktails were ginger ale. I now remembered what my alcoholic friends had told me, how they prophesied that if I had an alcoholic mind, the time and place would come, I would drink again. They said that though I did raise a defense, it would one day give way before some trivial reason for having a drink. Well, that just that did happen and more. For what I had learned of alcoholism did not occur to me at all. I knew from that moment that I had an alcoholic mind. I saw that willpower and self-knowledge would not help in those strange mental blank spots. That's the malady, right?
That's that malady, the alcoholic mind, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's our problem, isn't it? I can't not pick up that drink, even though I want to stop and need to stop.
I had never been able to understand people who said that a problem had them hopelessly defeated. I knew then it was a crushing blow. That sounds like a step one experience, right? He now knows that he's powerless over this thing. Before, he was saying...
it made too big of a problem.
He was far from admitting he was an alcoholic, and he would not believe himself an alcoholic. Now does he? Yep. Right? Sometimes it takes that crushing relapse to get us to a place of the understanding of step one, that knowing the symptoms and knowing that, learning that I can't do it myself.
It took me like 10 years of crushing relapses. I'm kind of dumb, maybe.
Okay, where was it here? Sorry.
42.
2 of the members of Alcoholics Anonymous came to see me. They grinned, which I didn't like so much. Because they had prophesied, right? They prophesied that if you have an alcoholic mind, you're going to drink again. And then asked me if I thought myself alcoholic and if I were really licked this time. I had to concede to both propositions. They piled on me heaps of evidence to the effect that an alcoholic mentality, right, malady, such as I had exhibited in Washington, was a hopeless condition. Hopeless condition. They cited cases out of their own experience by the dozen. This process snuffed out the last flicker of conviction that I could do the job myself. Then they outlined the spiritual answer and the program of action which 100 of them had followed successfully. I love the importance of this. Sometimes we're really quick in the fellowship to say, oh, God is good and God. with like Dr. Silkworth's description of this fatal malady, right? We need to know we're going to fucking die of this thing and then offer a solution. Though I had been only a nominal churchman, their proposals were not intellectually hard to swallow, but the program of action, though entirely sensible, was pretty drastic. It meant I would have to throw several lifelong conceptions, the way I see things, out of the window. That was not easy, but the moment I made up with my mind to go through with the process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. Quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve some of my problems.
Wait, what?
Oh, all of my problems. I've since been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying and I hope more useful than the life I lived before. My old manner of life was by no means a bad one, but I would not exchange its best moments for the worst I have now. I would not go back to it even if I could.
Fred's story speaks for itself. We hope it strikes home to thousands like him. He had felt only the first nip of the ringer. Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problem.
Right? The problem is that we start to feel better even after a few days. Right? I feel better.
That's
Are
right.
we better? Nope.
And this malady is so hard to comprehend because we say we go to treatment and you know, we've been sober like Fred was for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and we've even said no to liquor, and we fool ourselves into thinking, see, I got it, right? I got this. And we fail to see that the malady, that is the malady, right? That's it. We think we got it, but we don't. Mm-hmm. And the day comes where we drink again and we don't see it coming.
And I can stay sober, you know, for a while, like 3 months or 6 months, and then I just say, oh, I just have to do what I did last time. Did it work for you last time? Nope. Time to try something else, isn't it?
Many doctors and psychiatrists agree with our conclusions. One of these men, staff member of a world-renowned hospital, recently made this statement to some of us. What you say about the general hopelessness of the average alcoholic's plight is, in my opinion, correct. As to two of you men whose stories I have heard, there's no doubt in my mind that you are 100% hopeless.
100% hopeless.
Apart from divine help.
So it doesn't matter if we think we're hopeless, right? I still think that I can do this, right? But the fact is that I can't.
Had you offered yourselves as patients at this hospital, I would not have taken you if I had been able to avoid it. People like you are too heartbreaking.
Too heartbreaking, man.
Though not a religious person, I have profound respect for the spiritual approach in such cases as yours. For most cases, there's virtually no other solution.
No other solution.
Once more.
Okay, so this kind of summarizes this is the end of step 1, right? So we're just trying to really drill this thing home. Go ahead.
Once more. The alcoholic, at certain times, has no effective mental defense against the first drink.
Can I think my way through a quote-unquote craving? No.
Once more. The alcoholic, at certain times, has no effective mental defense against the first drink.
At certain times, can I play my tape back? No. Right? Like I can most of the time, but at certain times, I have no effective mental defense.
My tape player breaks. The tape scrambles everywhere. And I'm like, oh, does someone have a butter knife? Does someone have a butter knife?
The one that I like to talk about, her name's Sally. She's made up in my mind, and she's like drop dead gorgeous, okay? And Sally comes walking along down the road, and Sally says, Blythe, would you like to go out for a drink? What are the fucking chances of me being able to say no to Sally?
Oh, Sally, you sultry temptress.
Right? Once more.
The alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink. Except in a few rare cases, neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense.
Right? If I can't keep myself sober, who's going to keep me sober? Right? That's why we talk about jails and institutions and treatment. All they're doing is locking us up. And then the day we get out, we get loaded again.
Because I'm still bananas up here, right? Mm-hmm. His defense...
Underline this word.
Must come from a higher power.
Must.
with a capital P.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, we don't have to have even a conception of this power. We just have to know, shit, I think I'm in big trouble.
What time?
That's it. We'll shut her down
Yeah,
now.
we'll shut her? Yeah.